Good morning, or I should say good evening. My name is Alex. I'm the district manager here in Palatine, and I will be giving this next message on the branch opportunity. And this is actually one of my favorite messages to give. I loved being a branch manager. I love the opportunity of Vector. A little bit of background on me. I got started with the company in 2011 when I was a student at Marquette University. I graduated from Marquette with a double major in marketing and public relations with a minor in entrepreneurship. I originally got a letter in the mail. That's how I heard about the job. I was working another job and I needed something that was really flexible. So I got started my first summer, sold a little over 20,000 part-time, then became an assistant manager, and then became a branch manager. And it was probably up until that point in my Vector career, the most rewarding thing I had ever done in my entire life. And I'm excited to really share that opportunity with you all today and kind of let you in on, what my experience was and what I feel the branch opportunity can provide to anybody within the company if someone's chosen to become a branch manager. So I'm going to get my screen shared here. Great. So I really want to start off with, nothing is worse than missing an opportunity that could have changed your life. And this hits pretty hard to me, or hits pretty hard to home because I almost didn't run a branch. And my manager at the time, Ben, was like, Alex, you should run an office. And I was like, I am not doing that. I straight up told him, I'm like, I am not running a branch. Don't ask me. I'm not doing it. And he was like, I think you do really well. And basically, it came to the point where, and I'm not even joking, it came to the point where, okay, I'll say yes if you stop asking me to run an office. And he's like, all right, as long as you say yes. I'm like, okay, fine. And I'm so happy that he was the most stubborn person because, as I mentioned, it was one of the most rewarding times of my life to this day. And I loved it. And, the biggest thing, I love the people, right? This was a Marquette game, actually, that I was able to take a bunch of our representatives and assistant managers to over winter break. And I had the opportunity to do this, and it was just such a really fun time. It was one of the most fun times I've ever had with the people that I'm really growing the business with. And it was a great time. We got Cole, who was a scholarship winner on the left. Trevor, who's one of our assistant managers, a two-time branch manager now. Amy was a two-time branch manager. Harry was a district manager with us. Natalie was an assistant. Zane, assistant. Jen, assistant. Nicole, assistant. And to be able to get to know each and every one of these individuals, they've changed my life for the better. Honestly, if I'm being 100% honest, every single person has a special place in my heart. And that's part of what the branching opportunity allows us to do. It allows us to get to know each person on an individual level and become lifelong friends. Half of these people were at my wedding. And it was, half of our wedding was Vector people, I will say, because of the influence that we have. And that takes me to my next point. As a branch manager, the influence that you have on your representatives, on your assistant managers, on other people throughout the entire division or the entire region, I mean, there's nothing more rewarding than the influence you can have. And I want to say it was 2 Christmases ago, a bunch of our representatives, some branch managers, just people throughout my life that were important, wrote me a letter. And they wrote me a letter as to how I've influenced them throughout their career, whether they were a representative in my branch, when I was assistant manager, whatever the case is. And reading through these, naturally, I bawled my eyes out, right? Because I'm just a total complete merchant. So obviously I cried because it was so amazing to see the influence that I've been able to have on so many different people. And that is, as a branch manager, what you do. You get to influence people that you're in your peer group. And seeing the good in somebody before they see the good in themselves, it is again one of the most rewarding things. And I know I've said that quite a bit throughout the last 5 minutes, but there's no better way to describe it than that feeling of being able to really influence other people. And again, this is a present, probably one of the best gifts I could have ever received. And it's something that I will never, ever forget, mainly because how special each and every one of these individuals are to me throughout the last few years. Growth. Honestly, growth, you will experience growth to the point where you don't even think you can experience it. Running a branch office was not only the most rewarding, it was also one of the hardest things I have ever done, in a great way. You know, I learned more about myself that summer than I learned any other time because it was my own business. You know, I hired and trained representatives. And I think about Amy Rozak. You know, Amy was one of our representatives and then assistant managers. And just to see her growth, right, over the course of the years has been amazing. You know, she got promoted to branch manager a few years back, and just seeing where she was to where she was able to get to was a tremendous difference. And knowing that I had a great role in that, I felt really, really good, because what she's learning are real life skills. And I was helping her do that. So that's a part of the reason as to why I love that as much as well. Then let's talk about the culture. I mean, there's nothing more fun than to build your own team and just be goofy, right? So on the left here, we have one of our summer offices. It was as you can see, it was like a neon themed team meeting. Okay. And you know what? As a branch manager, you decide the theme, you decide what you want to do. And it's so much fun, right? And that was a blast. On the right, it was a divisional meeting that we had that I think you can all assume what it was, right? It was a Halloween themed, and we got really into it. And being able to be part of a culture that works really hard, but also has like a ton of fun, you don't find that very often. And we have a lot of fun here. We have a growth culture. We push each other. We really enforce being the best versions of ourselves. And as a branch manager, were my conversations always the easiest conversations? No. But my job as a branch manager, the way I looked at it, was to truly become that person's coach, right? And help them get to where they wanted to get to. But the culture is the best culture you will ever experience. And for those of you who have been here a little bit longer, I'm sure you could see that. But the longer you're here, the longer you realize that the people in this business want only what's best for you. And it is all about the people. And that's why I've been here for almost 10 years. Never did I think I'd still be here 10 years later. But the more and more and more I'm here, I realize the people are just truly amazing. The culture of this company is truly amazing. Your leaders, your mentors, your managers, your peers, right? It is just an amazing opportunity. Another part of culture, trips, right? Is a lot of fun. This was probably a Cancun or Cabo trip, which was a lot of fun. There's Michael Foreman looking super young. And then it was a Napa trip. So this was a trip we decided to take for my birthday when I turned 25. And we met up with, Dan Cassetta. Dan Cassetta is one of the region managers out in the Western region. And these are all Vector people. Some of them in the business, some of them not in the business anymore, but I've created my lifelong friends through the business, right? Nate, we branched the same year. He is now a district manager with the company. You know, same thing with Carly. Carly's no longer with the company, but was a Silver Cup district manager. And these people really helped me elevate really my thought process. And they pushed me to become a better version of myself, even when we were branching together. And so you have that peer group that really takes the next notch. Let's talk a little bit about the income. Okay, this is last year, 2020 branch managers' profitability. It is the highest we'd ever seen it. Okay. And you can see right on the left what the number was and how many people made over that amount of money, right? So you guys, you guys can see this, right? 63 branch managers made between 1 and 5 grand. Over 65% made over $5,000 as a branch manager. 43% over 10,000. 29% over $15,000. And 12% over 25,000. And these are college students, people who are in school running a business for 3 months. Not to mention, as a branch manager, you sell it straight half. So you could be at 10%, you can be at 15%, you can be at 20%. As a branch manager, when you personally sell Cutco, okay, we sell at straight half. So you sell 2,000, you automatically make 1,000. If you're at bonus, okay, so if you make bonus, you don't have to make bonus. You don't have to hit bonus, okay? It is straight half. So this is office sales performance, right? Not to mention what the sales side can look like during SC2 or during a push period when you were making straight half. Now, Vector, if you've been here a while, you've heard this saying. If you haven't been here, it might be the first time you're hearing it. But Vector is a great place to be until you figure out where you want to be. I know that not every single person on this call is going to become an assistant, a branch, a district manager with the company. However, it's a great place to be, especially when you're figuring out what your dream jobs are. So I think about Bridget Hathaway. Bridget Hathaway has been somebody in my life who's been a very significant person for my business and outside my business. She's one of my best friends, but she started working with me right out of high school. She was my assistant manager, and she did our Cutco through college program. She ran a branch. She became an assistant manager, and she went to Illinois Wesleyan, ran track, graduated early. And because of her experience with Vector, she landed a 6-figure job right out of college at a partner company for Apple called Keyence. And they flew her out to California, was making over 6 figures. And what she told me is in her interview, all they talked about was her Vector experience. Now, let me remind you, she did not study business. She was a physics major. Okay, it had nothing to do with selling knives. And in her interview for this company, all they talked about was Vector and her experience working with Vector. After her interview, they're like, we'll call you in 2 weeks, let you know if you got the job. They called her that day. They said the only reason we didn't accept you for the job on the spot is because we didn't have an offer letter written up for you. And she landed that job because of her experience with Vector. And that's what branching can do for you, is give you that real life experience, the marketability, the time management, the leadership, the goal setting. And there's so many other things that you can gain by becoming a branch manager. And I'm not saying that's going to be the right path for every single person on this call, but what I will say is it was for Bridget, and she was able to land her dream job because of her experience working with the company. So last thing I just want to say is seize the opportunity, enjoy it, make the most out of it. Whether you've been with the company for 2 weeks, 2 years, 20 years, 2 months, it doesn't really matter. I want you to be able to seize the day, have a good time, and thank you for your time. Have a great rest of your conference.